Hello and welcome to Small Screen Stories. This is the daily show where I go over all the news in the world of entertainment and pop culture. I am Edward Lauder. I'm the editor of Small Screen. And let's get started off with some of the biggest news of, this bit of news was kind of last week, really, towards the end of last week. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to do a show on Friday. So I'm just going to go over some of Friday's news today and also a lot of all of today's news. So the first bit of news I wanted to go over was that it's being reported that Spider-Man and Daredevil might team up in the MCU. So this comes to us from Geekosity. So Mikey Sutton over there is the man behind all of the scoops at Geekosity, and he has a lot of scoops, and a lot of them are really, to be honest, his track record is really, really quite good. So I'm kind of inclined to believe him on this. And of course, if you know the characters, Spider-Man and Daredevil, they do often cross over in the comics as well, and the animated TV shows in particular is where I remember them crossing over quite a bit in the Spider-Man animated TV show. But it's something that I'm personally really, really fascinated to see. First off, I really want to know what Kevin Feige is going to do with the Daredevil character, because he's a character that I find personally fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I love Matt Murdock, both as Daredevil, but also as Matt Murdock, the great lawyer who happens to be blind, who is very, very successful in a court of law as well. At least he does end up becoming that. And we saw elements of that in the really quite excellent Netflix Marvel Daredevil TV show, which I think is seriously good TV. I think that's fantastic, that show. I really love Charlie Cox as Daredevil, and one of my main questions is, what's going to happen with Daredevil in the MCU? Are they going to bring in Charlie Cox as Daredevil into the MCU? As far as I'm hearing and I'm aware, no. They're more likely going to recast the role, which is really unfortunate, because Charlie Cox is an excellent, just a complete, the way he plays that role, the way he is in that role is just absolutely perfect. I personally cannot imagine anyone better for the role, but it looks like Kevin Feige wants to move away from those Marvel Netflix TV shows and really get to do their own thing, kind of start those characters from scratch, which is kind of odd, because if you were a big fan of those Netflix shows, then you would know that they are kind of tied to the MCU, but they did have them at a distance. I'm going to be honest. There was that element of distance between the MCU and what was going on in Netflix shows. They kept on referring to the events of the Avengers as the incident, I believe. And it's just something that it's a bit upsetting, because I actually do think those shows are really, really well cast. I think, for instance, Charlie Cox is fantastic as Daredevil. I said that before, but I also think John Bernthal is a brilliant Punisher. I even think Luke Cage, Mike Colter is brilliant as Luke Cage. I think Kristen Ritter was perfect as January Jones. And I also think there's some elements of I'm forgetting his name now, of Finn. Is it Finn Jones? Yeah, as Iron Fist, that I also really enjoyed as well. I think he's probably the weakest out of the bunch, but that's not really his fault. One of the main issues was he was just not prepared for the role, which is, again, something that Netflix really didn't have him train the right way. You know, he really should have been more trained in martial arts, which he wasn't, and that was evident from the beginning. I think by the end of it, he was a bit better. But if you're going to do that role, you need to really be invested in the character, and I just feel that he was not really quite there. And I think, Netflix weren't really they didn't really put that much effort into that show, I'm going to be honest, compared to the other shows, compared to shows like The Punisher, compared to Daredevil, compared to Jessica Jones, even compared to Luke Cage, which, to be honest, Luke Cage season 1 started off really, really strong. It just kind of fell off a bit towards the end, which was a bit unfortunate. But what do you guys think of this? Would you like to see Daredevil and Spider-Man team up in a movie together? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But interestingly enough, this again is linked to this news about Daredevil and Spider-Man reportedly going to be in a movie together in the MCU. Well, Kevin Feige has actually been talking quite a bit actually about Daredevil, and he reportedly wants to keep Daredevil's mature nature in the MCU. So this comes from We Got This Covered. So again, take this with a big pinch of salt, because they do put a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of it doesn't end up turning out to be true. But the problem is that some of it does, and they do. I'll talk about this a bit. The one issue I have with them is that they do state things a lot as being fact, and when you're being in my line of work, it happens to me as well. I get people contacting me about things and telling me things. You have to be very, very careful with these people. I've had first-hand experience of this sort of stuff. Again, it's just the game you play, unfortunately, when you go, right, I'm going to put my name on this, I'm going to stick my neck out for these guys, for the multiple sources that come to you and say the same thing. The thing is, We Got This Covered they do have basically every day a lot of scoops, let's say, and some of them do end up being true. But then if you put so much stuff out there, some of it is inevitably going to be true. But this to me made sense, and that's why I covered it. It made sense that Kevin Feige wants to keep that sort of more mature nature that they made with Daredevil, that they had in the Netflix TV shows, because that's a vital part of the character moving forward. We've now had that version of Daredevil. It would be really weird to go back to kind of like an MCU version of Daredevil, which is very kind of not low key, but very less graphic and violent. And part of the reason why Netflix's Daredevil works so well, I'm not going to say because it was violent, but it is because they pushed the boundaries slightly, and because they're allowed to, because it's a streaming service, and Netflix doesn't really care about that sort of thing. They're just like, if we want to make it mature, we will. And that's up to our viewers to decide whether they can or can't watch it, or how old people are that watch it. Now, there are rumors that they're going to be making a kind of Disney 18 plus part on Disney Plus. I've spoken about this on this show before, which is very, very interesting, and is also an interesting way to potentially have the likes of Deadpool, Logan, Deadpool 2, and then eventually Deadpool 3, and then even maybe the Blade movie, and then possibly a more mature Daredevil show, which I think would be great. I personally would really, really love to see them do this. I hope they do. Fingers crossed they do. Let's wait and see what happens. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. And final bit of Spider-Man news for the day. It's being reported that Spider-Man 3 will feature a much bigger role for, I believe his name, I'm terrible with names. I've said this multiple times, so if I butcher his name, I'm really sorry. But I believe it's Jacob Batalon and his character Ned Leeds. So if you're at all familiar with Ned Leeds from the comics, he is the Hobgoblin. And one thing they've done is they've kind of done a bit of a switch with that character and they made him one of Peter Parker's best friends. He wasn't in the comics. He wasn't his friend. He was, if anything, his enemy. Well, he was his enemy, Ned Leeds, and he's the Hobgoblin. But this comes from the Direct, and the Direct have reported that Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures are looking to cast a Filipina actress within the age of 50 and 80 years old. So according to their sources, this would be for a small supporting role in the MCU, and in Spider-Man 3 in particular. So basically the idea is that this would be a relative of Ned Leeds, which means that we're going to get more character development as far as Ned Leeds is concerned, which is quite good. I think that's a character that deserves a bit more time. At the moment, he's a bit of a comic character, which is fine as well. That is needed, but there isn't much character development there. He had a girlfriend in the second movie, and then ended up. That was kind of strange. I'm going to be honest. That whole character arc was a bit weird. But I'm hoping, so this Batalon himself has been talking about where his character could go, and this was from comicbook.com. He said, this was a while back, that just further validates my theory of Ned becoming Hobgoblin. But hey, it would be so great if they're not, it would be so great if they're not going to want me to die. I hope they're still going to want me to stay and be a part of the Sinister Six. That's just my theory. So he's there saying, yeah, he wants to do the Hobgoblin. And of course, he lost a lot of weight recently. I'm not saying that's because of the character. That might be just a personal decision on his behalf, which is brilliant, fantastic. But I'm not saying I'm not saying the two are connected. but it might be. Just that's speculation. Again, it might be connected, but who knows? But it would be really. I personally, I would like it if it happened, but also it would be a bit of quite a kind of dramatic character change if that were to happen. But then again, it's difficult being Spider-Man's best friend. He of course knows who Spider-Man is, which makes it even weirder. Then you'd have one of the Sinister Six actually knowing Spider-Man's true identity. So it would be difficult. I think it's not impossible. If I'm going to give it like a percentage, I'll probably give it like 30%. I think it definitely would be interesting. It'd be interesting to explore that side of the two characters, that have them end up being against one another. It's happened before in the Spider-Man movies. It genuinely happens with, of course, it happened with James Franco's character in the original Spider-Man films. Happened with Dane DeHaan's character. They both play the same character, and I'm blanking. Osborn, what was his first name? I'm forgetting his name now. I have this a lot. I have blanks. It's not Norman Osborn. It's Norman Osborn's son, and I'm forgetting his name, which is very, very annoying. If you can remember his name, please let me know, because I can't remember it. But yeah, so it's obviously something that's happened in Spider-Man films before, that sort of thing happening. If it would happen here, I think it would be interesting. But as again I said, I give it a 40% chance of it actually happening, because I just think it's too much of a character change. I also think it's probably too... I mean, of course, the end of Spider-Man 2, or the Spider-Man Far From Home, it was revealed who Spider-Man really is. So maybe that's not really an issue moving forward. Everyone knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man. I doubt that's going to be the case. I'm pretty sure something will happen. I think Doctor Strange might be involved somehow. I'm pretty interested to know. I'm really excited to know what happens in this movie, because there's been so much talk about what's going to happen in Spider-Man 3. I'm just desperate to know what actually happens. But let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments below. Right, moving on to the next story. And what is that? The next story is that Johnny Depp fans want to boycott Fantastic Beasts 3 after Mads Mikkelsen was announced as Johnny Depp's replacement. So it's officially been announced that Mads Mikkelsen is going to be playing Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts 3. I've said a lot about this. I think it's actually really good casting, personally. I think he probably should have been cast as Grindelwald in the first place. But I did also actually really like Johnny Depp's performance in Fantastic Beasts Crimes of Grindelwald. But this whole thing is a story basically about people reacting on social media to this. I'm not going to spend that much time on this. It's just on the site. You can go and read it if you want. You can have a look. A lot of the tweets are quite strongly worded, let's say, that they just really don't want to see this movie. It sounds like a lot of people out there are not going to see this because of what Warner Brothers did. They basically asked Johnny Depp to step down from the role of Grindelwald. Johnny Depp still walks away with 10 million, but it's a story I've been talking about a lot, and I just want to get on with it, to be honest. And I understand why people don't want to see this movie. I understand that there's a lot of support out there for Johnny Depp, and to be honest, I completely get where you guys are coming from, and I'm not someone that likes to see people get fired from their jobs for things that's kind of it's a difficult situation, let's say that. But the thing is, I actually do quite like Mads Mikkelsen as Fantastic Beasts 3, and from a personal standpoint, I am not going to boycott the film because there are other people involved in the film. I know it's a Warner Brothers production, but there are so many other actors, crew members, cast, everyone, marketing people. There are so many people involved. So I don't really want to see the film suffer because of what happened to Johnny Depp. But again, I do understand where you guys are coming from. But I'm going to move on from that story now and move on to another story about Johnny Depp. So it's the big Johnny Depp section of the show. So basically, Johnny Depp fans have been, or supporters, I use the word fans, it's not quite right. It's people that have been keeping a very close eye on what's going on, people that have been tweeting justice for Johnny Depp on social media. So they've been voicing their support and praise for Dior after they stood by their actor. They actually stood by the actor. And of course, Dior hired Johnny Depp quite a while ago now. It might have been in 2018, maybe even before. They hired him as the face of their Eau de Parfum Sauvage, which is was a cologne. and it's been doing very well recently. The Clone it's been making a lot of money. And they recently said that they're not going to get rid of Johnny Depp. They're going to keep him as the face of Sauvage. They're going to keep him in their commercials. And of course, well, I've personally been seeing a lot online and on TV of the commercial of Johnny Depp playing the guitar. And I'm not quite sure where the actual where the ad takes place, but it's a pretty good ad, to be honest. And Johnny Depp looks very good in it. And it's nice to see that they're not getting rid of him. And a lot of people have been, again, you can have a look at the tweets in the article on small-screen.co.uk. But there's a lot of people there that are really, really happy about this and really happy that he's not losing all his jobs after this. Of course, he lost Fantastic Beasts 3. But I think Jaws, they obviously see that there's money to be made here. They're doing well. Part of it is probably the Johnny Depp factor, the fact that he's involved in it, and people do gravitate towards him, and the ad is, I think it's kind of become iconic over the years, that ad and him in it, and he really does, he seems to be a good fit for that brand, so they're fine going on with it, and people are very happy about that. But let's move on to the next story, which is actually it's actually going to be exclusive. So I want to preface this by I'm going to talk about everything that went on with this whole article, and how basically my whole thought process on putting it live, basically. So it's Johnny Depp related, and I was told a while ago now that Johnny Depp was in the running to play Gomez Addams in the Tim Burton's The Addams Family TV show. Sorry, the Addams Family TV show. So Tim Burton is making this TV show for Netflix. I'm actually shocked that he hasn't made an Addams Family thing before, because it seems as though every film he's been making has been a pastiche on the Addams Family, or has been heavily influenced by that, let's say. But basically, I was told a while back that he is that the Netflix show's full steam ahead, and that Tim Burton wants Johnny Depp to play Gomez Addams, and he thinks he would do the role justice. So, of course, Gomez Addams was played by, I'm forgetting his name now, Raul Julia in the original film, in the 1991 movie, I think that came out. And he, of course, is Latino. Johnny Depp is not. But so that might be a sticking point. And I'll be honest, I'd never worked with this source before. This is the first time they ever contacted me, and I was asking them questions, and I didn't hear anything back. So I sat on it for a while, and then I was asking around, and then I basically ended up hearing from two other sources the similar information, and they also answered my questions, which is nice because the first source didn't. But one of them agreed to be quoted directly in the article, so I'll just bring the article up here. So you can see here, Depp is in talks to star as Gomez Addams in the Addams Family. It was Tim Burton's idea. It seems as though Netflix are the ones who have to be convinced. So, and then the second source corroborated this, but they didn't want to be direct quoted. They added that Depp was very keen on the role. So this is something that, I want to make it very clear. I get sent a lot of things from a variety of people. Often, if they don't message me back, if I can't validate who they are and who they say they are, then I don't tend to go with it. I don't go with it until other people that I do know and I do trust kind of add information and also say it's happening and not happening. These are people that have ties, relatively close ties with Netflix, so they seem to know what's going on. I'm cautiously optimistic about this one. I personally think he'd be actually very good for the role. I think he would work really well in that role. Let's wait and see what happens. As it stands, he's in talks and or in the running even to play Gomez Addams. It's going to be interesting who they go with, and I think Johnny Depp would be really good for the role. I think Tim Burton isn't going to be afraid of casting him. I think it sounds as though he is very much keen on the idea of Johnny Depp being in the show. Maybe it might come down to a money issue. I don't think, to be honest, I don't really see Netflix as worrying that much about the whole court case that's going on and the whole thing with Amber Heard. I don't think they're not like Warner Brothers in that sense. They'll just be like, yeah, whatever. Like, you know, let's go for it. If they think he's right for the role, then they'll probably go for it. And as it stands, it's Tim Burton's idea. He's very keen on it. It's Netflix that has to be convinced. That's as far as I know. And then beyond that is pure speculation. Another bit of speculation that kind of goes around this whole The Addams Family TV show is that they're also looking apparently at Eva Mendes. So that is speculation. That's not been said to me or by anyone that I've been talking to recently, but Eva Mendes for the role of Gomez Addams' wife, who I'm blanking on her name again. It's quite late over here. So what is her name? Morticia Addams. Originally played, I believe, by Angelica Houston, I think, in the original movies. So they are two actors that actually have very close ties to Tim Burton. They also do kind of fit the look of the roles as well. I believe Eva Green has worked with Tim Burton twice on Dark Shadows, and then the other movie that I'm forgetting the name of about the kids that wasn't very good. Dark Shadows wasn't brilliant either. But I'm very curious to see this this series, because it's a new venture for Tim Burton. He hasn't done TV shows before. It'll be the first time he's done anything like that, and I like the fact that he seemingly has a vision for this, and he's wanted to do this apparently for quite some time. So I'm excited to see this. But let me know what. Sorry, it's my phone. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. See, I've got a Huawei device. Going to be honest with you here, and it just does not stop talking. It's just like it's got a version of Siri or Google and Google Assistant that really just doesn't work very well. Then there's a little review of a Huawei phone for you. But then again, let me know what you guys think about the Addams Family and Johnny Depp potentially being cast as Gomez Addams in Netflix's The Addams Family TV show. Right, finally moving away from all that Johnny Depp stuff. That was a big chunk of Johnny Depp news. And onto some very sad news is that David Prowse, the man who was the embodiment of Darth Vader in the original Star Wars movies. He, of course, was the man in the suit. There's a whole story as to he was originally told that he was also going to do the voice, and then of course I believe he's from the West Country, or he was from the West Country in the UK, and his voice just didn't quite match the character, which is why they ended up getting James Earl Jones to do the voice, and he wasn't very happy about that reportedly, but You can read about that, but this is, he passed away at the age of 85, which was really, really sad. He was part of what is the best villain of all time. Darth Vader is the most fascinating, the most iconic villain of all time. That's in every single medium you can think of. So it's very, very sad that he's no longer with us. And there have been a lot of tributes paid to him specifically by people in the Star Wars family. Excuse me. So one of those, a very heartfelt statement from George Lucas was put onto StarWars.com. So he said David brought a physicality to Darth Vader that was essential for the character. He made Vader leap off the page and onto the big screen with an imposing stature and movement performance to match the intensity and undercurrent of Vader's presence. David was up for anything and contributed to the success of what would become a memorable, tragic figure. May he rest in peace. And it's nice to hear him say that. It is very Star Wars and Darth Vader centric. I will say that. He doesn't really go into David Prowse's really as away from from what they did together on Star Wars. But someone that did was Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's he's very good at this, and he he also posted a very heartfelt tribute. He posted this on Twitter. He said, "So sad to hear David Prowse has passed. He was a kind man and much more." I think that's a much better tribute. I think he goes into him personally. He says he's much more than just Darth Vader. But that's what people will remember him for. A 3-time British weightlifting champion. No wonder he was massive, And of course, he will be forever remembered as being Darth Vader. He wasn't the voice of Darth Vader, but the two of them just matched completely perfectly. You couldn't have had James Earl Jones in the suit. No way would that have worked, So without him, there would have been no Darth Vader, and it sounds as though he was a very, very lovely man. And my deepest sympathies and condolences go out to his family that in this what is already a really horrible time to, with everything that's going on with lockdown and COVID. This is just being made this is obviously makes things much, much worse for his friends and family. But they know that he has contributed more than, Star Wars fans across the world will be mourning his loss, and will also be thanking him for everything he did in those movies. But you can also post your tributes to David Prowse in the comments, and which are your favorite Darth Vader scenes would be a really interesting thing to know, and just share RIP David Prowse hashtag all over Twitter. I've seen it's been going on quite a lot, which is nice to see. But moving on to what will be a very rapid and rather odd change of tone, onto Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey is rumored to be in talks for a new live-action Grinch movie. So guess where this comes from? This comes from We Got This. Actually, no, it doesn't. It comes from Daniel Rickman. And he kind of puzzles me. I'm being completely and brutally honest with you guys about all of this. I probably shouldn't be, but I am. But so he's a scooper and a scoopster. I don't know what you call them. He's an insider source, is what he often calls himself as, I believe that's. And he's got a Patreon page. So he hides all of his scoops behind a Patreon page. So he makes people pay to read his scoops, which is either genius or complete madness. I don't know. He seems to do very well out of it. I don't know how he does, but he's very, very prolific. And he gets a lot of things right. That's the thing. He gets a lot of things right. But again, he posts a lot, and I'm always a bit suspicious of people that post a lot of stuff. I'm like, how do you know all of this? When I'm working on these exclusives, that it takes me weeks to get them out. And again, small screen we're not scoopers. It's not what we do. I've talked about this in the past quite a lot. There are so many articles on there written by some brilliant freelance writers. A lot of them went up today, actually. We got brilliant reviews from people, features on things, really fascinating opinion pieces, and all that sort of stuff. So small screen is more than just about exclusives. I am lucky to be in the position where I have got contacts that do tell me things, but again, I do always preface this by saying that things do change, and this kind of you get told things by people and they're not, the information isn't always spot on. So this is probably what happens with Daniel. But he's saying that Jim Carrey is rumored to be in talks for a new live-action Grinch movie. I'll get the direct quote because I got this from We Got This Covered, because I'm not a member of Daniel Rickman's Patreon page. But he said, new Grinch live-action movie is in the works at Universal and they want Jim Carrey back. So it's very, very short and sweet and to the point, which, fair dues. That's not a bad thing to do. But I'm going to be honest about this. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to How the Grinch Stole Christmas, which is a fantastic movie, by the way. It's directed by Ron Howard, stars, of course, Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey is the best embodiment and the only person in my book that can play the Grinch in live action. Jim Carrey is literally a cartoon brought to life. And we did have an animated movie recently with Benedict Cumberbatch playing the Grinch. I could also imagine Benedict Cumberbatch doing a pretty good job. He's got that face that would probably work quite well and all that makeup as the Grinch. But As far as the Grinch is concerned, I really do think there's only one person that can play him in live action. That's Jim Carrey. Whether or not he'd want to come back is another question. It's he has come back to roles he's done in the past. Of course, he came back to do Ace Ventura 2. He came back to do Dumb and Dumber 2. They didn't work out very well. So he might be a bit done with that. And but the thing is if you bring Ron Howard back, I think then you've probably got something. How the Grinch Stole Christmas is one of my go-to Christmas movies, along with the likes of Home Alone, Home Alone 2, The Nightmare Before Christmas, and Die Hard. That is another conversation. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. But I am a bit skeptical about this, and I did say that in the article. But that having been said, I would love to see, not Benedict Cumberbatch, I would love to see Jim Carrey play the Grinch again. But you've always got that original movie, which is fantastic. And I do wonder what the second movie would be about. Would it be called How the Grinch Stole Christmas Again? It's like, where do you go from there? Maybe there is a sequel that Dr. Seuss wrote. I really don't know. But I'm a bit dubious about that, I'm going to be honest. Right, moving on to the next bit of news, and that's that this does come from We Got This Covered. There are a lot of scoops from them. They're claiming that Jared Leto is rumoured to play the lead role in the new Tron trilogy. So, full disclosure, there is a Tron movie happening, or it is in the works at Disney. Apparently, Disney wants Garth Davis to direct the movie. So that is happening. There have been rumours for a long, long time that Jared Leto is in talks to play the lead. And now, from We Got This Covered, they're claiming that they want him for a trilogy. It's a bit strange, I'm going to be honest to you. Like, Disney, of course, wants another franchise. They obviously feel that Tron is a property that they can get behind and really push. So maybe that would work. Having Jared Leto, though, as your lead, I don't really know. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not 100% convinced on that one. But I do believe that Jared Leto is a really, really good actor, even though he's been in some pretty mediocre movies over the past couple of years. I still think his version of the Joker is actually, I wouldn't say underrated, because I do think if you watch Suicide Squad, then the Joker in that is not good. But I do think there's a better version of his Joker in a certain edit of that movie that I think a lot of it kind of was put in the bin, unfortunately. But you know what? It could be a good thing for him. But of course, he has Morbius, so he does have a potential franchise that in his back pocket. But he's been in a lot of movies that haven't done particularly well. So he was in Blade Runner 2049, and I actually think he was a bit miscast in that. I'm going to be honest. It is no secret that Denis Villeneuve wanted David Bowie for that role. And every time I watch that film, I think he's fine. I think Jared Leto's fine in that role, but I just can't help but think how much better David Bowie would have been. I think that I do get the impression that Jared Leto is doing an impression of David Bowie at times in that scene that he's in. Yeah, this is just speculation again, as far as his process is concerned. But I like Jared Leto as an actor, and I would like to see another Tron movie. I think there's a lot of room there for a Tron movie. Whether or not they want to make a trilogy is another thing. That's quite a big chunk of money to put into this, and then there's always the potential of it not doing very well. A lot of the Tron movies, well, the second Tron movie, Tron Legacy, didn't perform very well at the box office, which is why they didn't make a sequel. So let's wait and see what happens on that front. Right, moving away from all the movie stuff and onto TV stuff. So I believe this little bit of news I'm going to talk about in a second. This came from We Got This Covered. So Marvel is rumored to want to make a WandaVision-like show for Deadpool, meaning that they want to make a Deadpool show that takes place all in Wade Wilson's head. That makes sense to a certain degree. It's happened before in the movies. Again, it's We Got This Covered, so take this with a pinch of salt. Whether or not that happens or not, I don't think it will. I think they'll just focus on the movies. Again, I said this in the article. You can go and read the article. That's why I always put rumored in these things, because they are rumors. It's just we got this covered, putting a lot of rumors out there. I am very excited to see WandaVision. I think WandaVision is going to knock really, really like bowl people over. I think that's going to be a fantastic series. I really can't wait for Deadpool 3, but it looks like we're going to have to wait a while for that. It's of course got new writers and the Molyneux sisters. They did Bob's Burgers, which is, I haven't seen it, I'm going to be completely honest with you, but apparently it's a very, very good show. I'm excited to see that. I think they would possibly do a Deadpool 4 over a Deadpool TV show. I'm going to be completely honest with you there. I think it would make more sense to me. Right, let me know what you guys think about that in the comments below. Moving on to The Mandalorian. So there are two bits of news about The Mandalorian that I wanted to talk about. Well, not really news, it's more... I want to talk about the last episode, which is The Mandalorian Chapter 13, The Jedi, which featured Rosario Dawson as, spoilers, as Ahsoka Tano. The episode, directed by Dave Filoni, is fantastic. It is so, so good. Really, really blew me away. I loved it so much. I think Rosario Dawson in it is brilliant. Really well cast. She's perfect in that role. I love the fact that they give us backstory on Baby Yoda, who of course, if you haven't watched it, then this is news to you, but he's actually called Grogu, and he is a boy. I was thinking that it might be revealed to be a girl, but no, it is a boy. And it also seemed to set up an Ahsoka Tano spin-off series. If not an Ahsoka Tano spin-off series, then it's set up definitely for season 3, a villain that watchers of Star Wars Rebels will be very, very excited to see, Grand Admiral Thrawn. He was name dropped by Ahsoka Tano in the show when she basically the whole episode plays out a lot like a mixture of a Western and a samurai movie, and it's so good. It's so good. And there's a fight between Ahsoka Tano and I forgot her name, but I can't remember her name, but there's a fight in there, and then she's basically trying to figure out who is this, or where this woman's master is, and it turns out that her master is Thrawn. So Ahsoka Tano is looking for Thrawn. I think two things can happen. Either they make an Ahsoka Tano spin-off series in which he's looking for Thrawn, or they bring Thrawn and Ahsoka Tano into season 3 or 4 of The Mandalorian. And that means there's a possibility of seeing Ezra Bridger. So it all seems to be they're bringing in all of these animated Star Wars characters into live action. Of course, the animated Star Wars characters were created by Dave Filoni. So it's nice that he got to direct this episode and direct Ahsoka Tano's very first live action Star Wars episode, which just really, really good. I also think this is again a theory, I think season 3 might feature a cameo from Luke Skywalker, because Ahsoka Tano in the episode says that she cannot train Grogu, so Baby Yoda, because he's got too much fear in him, which of course is a callback to Anakin Skywalker. She said that they might be able to get help if they go to Jedi Temple. I cannot remember the name of the temple. What's the name of the temple? Let me look. Oh, I can't remember the name of the temple, but there's a temple that she tells him to go to. I wonder whether in that temple, the Jedi Temple, Tython, and she tells them to go to the top of the temple, I think. To go to the summit of the Jedi Temple on Tython. So I'm wondering whether in that moment they'll end up meeting Luke Skywalker. Either Luke Skywalker or Ezra Bridger. I think there are two strong possibilities. I think more Luke, because I think he'd be... Well, he's not particularly... this takes place after the Return of the Jedi, so Luke is a Jedi. But I actually think Ezra Bridger would be maybe a better shout, because he would be slightly more... at that point, I think he would end up being slightly more advanced than Luke, even though Luke is a Jedi. He's still quite young, really, in the grand scheme of things. But again, people would be saying, well, Mark Hamill will never return as Luke. He's too old now. But of course, Disney and Lucasfilm they're not very scared of de-aging people. So there's always that potential there. But I'm pretty sure it's either going to be Luke or Ezra Bridger. It's going to be a Jedi, and I think it's going to be one of them because there aren't that many Jedi around. The fact that Ahsoka Tano isn't actually really a Jedi, really. She is, but she left the Order, so technically she's not. But what do you guys think of those theories? I know that they are theories. Let me know about that in the comments below. A final bit of news to end the show on, and this is no, there are two bits of news. Sorry about that. So a penultimate bit of news is that David Lynch is set to write and direct a brand new series with Netflix. So this comes from What's on Netflix. This is where I got the news from, and they're claiming that he's said to be writing the series with frequent collaborator Sabrina S. Sutherland, who's on board to produce. But apart from that, there's not much known about it. But Lynch was actually asked about this, and he said, there are all kinds of rumors. I've got a show called What Did Jack Do on Netflix right now. It's a great show about a monkey. It's something you've got to see, and it will really help you in quarantine. So he's already got a show on Netflix, but it seems as though he might be making another one. He's, of course, the man who made Twin Peaks. He's a complete genius. But if you can go and look him up on YouTube. He's got a YouTube channel. He's absolutely bonkers. It's very funny. But I do like David Lynch. I would love to see him do some more stuff. And Netflix actually seems like quite a good place for someone like David Lynch. We've, of course, got David Fincher making a lot of stuff for Netflix now. So they seem to be kind of really using these quite, very well-known filmmakers, but also a bit different, let's say. They do things a bit differently. They're very particular, let's say that. They're very, very talented, but also very particular. So now, final bit of news is about Joss Whedon. So I'm going to end the show with this. Again, this did break a couple of days ago. It broke last week, but I didn't get around to it because there's so much stuff to cover. But he's left his HBO show, The Nevers, apparently due to exhaustion. So this comes from Cinema Blends, where he released a statement via them. He said, "This year of unprecedented challenges has impacted my life and perspective in ways I could never have imagined. And while developing and producing The Nevers has been a joyful experience, I realized that the level of commitment required moving forward, combined with the physical challenges of making such a huge show during a global pandemic, is more than I can handle without the work beginning to suffer. I'm genuinely exhausted, and I'm sleeping back." Sorry, I'm not sleeping. I'm about to fall asleep. I'm stepping back to marshal my energy towards my own life, which is also on the brink of exciting change. I'm deeply proud of the work we have done. I'm grateful to all my extraordinary cast and collaborators and HBO for the opportunity to shape yet another strange world. The Nevers is a true labour of love, but after 2+ years of labour, love is about all I have to offer. It will never fade. And then HBO actually made a statement about Whedon's exit from the show, and they said, "We have parted ways with Joss Whedon. We remain excited about the future of The Nevers and look forward to its premiere in the summer of 2021, which is such a it's like a nothing statement. It sounds to me like they got rid of him, which is it's a shame in the sense that I think Joss Whedon is actually quite a talented filmmaker and he's very good in TV, but he, of course, has issues. There are lots of allegations made against him of bullying on set and just not being very professional. A lot of those allegations come from Ray Fisher, and they're not good. They're not good for Joss Whedon. So it looks like HBO's parting ways with Joss. They want rid of him. At least this is speculation. That's what I see from their response, which if they really had parted ways amicably, they would have said so. They would have said, Joss. They would have said something about Joss Whedon wanting to spend more time on his doing other things or something more than this. That's really a nothing statement. That's a statement that to me says we fired him. So that's, again, it's speculation. That's what I said that in the article. This is all speculation, but it does look like Joss Whedon was forced out. He made a long statement via Cinema Blend, and then that's what HBO had to say. I do think that Joss Whedon is probably exhausted with all this that's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on recently. He's been in the news a lot, but it doesn't make sense to leave it now. I'm pretty sure it's basically finished. It's coming out next year, but I'm pretty sure they've done everything or they're just finishing it off. Really, I feel it just sounds strange to me that they should just go, all right, or he should just be like, all right, I'm off now. I would have thought he would have seen it out to the end, because he's very close to the end as far as the Never's concerned. I'm a bit I'm not upset about it. I'm just a bit perplexed by it. I think because there have been these allegations made against him, but nothing's really stuck, really. And to me, it doesn't look good for him. It really doesn't look good for him. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And with that, I'll say thank you so much for listening. If you would rather listen to this as a podcast, it is out there. It's called Small Screen Stories. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. If you aren't listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us 5 stars. That'd be great. If you're watching on YouTube, you can you can subscribe. That would really, really help me, and I would really appreciate it. It'd be wonderful. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitch, you can like it on Facebook, share it on Facebook, like the page. You can go on Small Screen now, which is at small-screen.co.uk, and look at all the articles out there. There are some brilliant, brilliant articles written by some fabulous freelance journalists. So stuff like the His Dark Materials reviews that are being written by Lydia, who's just brilliant. Julia wrote a really fantastic article about streaming services. We've got Raven writing a brilliant Shameless recapper on there. She's about to embark on reviewing every episode that's coming out on that show that's now coming back. Got Dan Peters Daniel Peter that's writing some fantastic stuff about cinemas, what's happening in cinemas in the UK. Recently, cinemas in Wales were closed down due to coronavirus. So yeah, there are some really good articles going out on the site. There are features from freelance journalists. If you want to write for Small Screen, you can. You can contact me at small-screen.co.uk with your pitches. We do pay all of our writers. If I do answer all the pitches, even if it's a no, I really, really like the idea of having freelance journalists that are passionate about pop culture writing for the site. It really, really does show your passion comes through. I feel very blessed to have so many people writing for the site. It really, really works. I just think it makes the site look so much better, and also I hope it's an outlet for people where people can write about what they're passionate about. It really means a lot to me that so many people have been so positive about that, and also just so talented, so many talented people. But so if you're interested in that, you can contact me. You can also find me on Twitter, EJ Lauder. You can contact me there as well, but it would be best if you email me. And with that, I'll say thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening. Thank you. Bye.